Kind of pretty out, right? Look how blue that sky is. It's ridiculous blue. Alright, where are we? I would just chill out here. How can you hear the music? Can you hear that right now? Let me know. It'd be kind of cool to sit out here. And I gotta fire up the chat. I was running a little late because I had to get my coffees and whatnot. It was a nice little seating area. Rather unfinished. I don't know what all this means. Those are mouse and rat traps. But they are all over this part of town for some reason. Alright, let me gather up my stuffs. And I'll fire up my other phone so I could read chat activities. Let's boogie inside. I don't have to Spartan kick this. Wave. Oh, opens frickin' sesame. I like when both doors open. But they do that to compartmentalize the AC and the heat activities. Alright, now do you know where it is? Yeah. Oh, no one's at my table. Sick. No, the pool is not open. I forgot that my phone, I've been playing around with my iPhone. I forgot that the iPhone has a built-in decibel meter. So I'm gonna deploy that every chance I get. Because I was just inside and it was 84 decibels worth of music. That's kind of nuts, actually. 84 decibels? I think 90 is considered like shit. Alright, just give me a second to trigger up all the stuffs. Bam. Come on. Turn. Oh. It always surprises me. I don't know what. Oh, I got co-hosts in the back. Alright. Switch accounts. I don't have 40 of them. Alright, which one shall I use? My admin account? So I can perform spankage if necessary. Hopefully the coffee's good. She's like, I remember you. And I'm like, I remember you too. What up, girl? Alright. It says I'm live. Let's press a button and find out.
With McCormick by your side for over 130
McCormick. Ooh, I'm getting all the big time ads. Which one is this? Free training on something. Gotta be a jackass, it looks like. Alright, all messages. This is kind of comfy. So I didn't want to chance the strip again because the internet down there is still bunk. The internet out here, however, out here in I'm at Durango, in case you haven't figured that out yet, is pretty damn good. So far, I don't know if they shut down. My hands are sticky. I spilled coffee on myself. Let me crack this water. I gotta clean. I gotta do some housekeeping. Durango. But I don't know if the persistent connection capability has been restored because they shut down persistent connections. That way people couldn't stream around the Super Bowl. Alright. I'll say hello to everyone in a second. I got some antibacterial stuff in the pocket. Oh, I want to put this candle on. Hold on. Treat this place like I own it. I treat every place like I own it. Let's put this candle on. There we go. Free batteries. Wait, hold on. What is this? That's one. It's two settings. I don't know what they are. Oh. What does that do? Yeah, isn't it? I want one. That's an idea. Me and you. It is kind of cool, but look at it. You want to see what it really is? Hold on. it's like got a wax silicone texture, and it's got this like thingy in there. But when you fire it up, I don't know what the two settings do. Oh, timer, not timer. We don't want a timeout. Isn't that cool? It's all right. I mean, it's nothing like the real thing, as they say. All right, we'll keep that for ambiance. All right, where is it? Yeah. I don't want to burn anything. Oh, it's a battery off. All right, let's check. You know the coffee here blows, but she was nice to me. It's like, how you doing? She's like, how you doing? Everyone's panicking out there because all the ATMs and all the machines are beat. Good thing I have some cash on me. Bror Fredrik, are we still doing the same platform on Friday? I mean the AMA? Abso-freaking-AMA-ly. No, maybe. Yeah, probably. You never know. I didn't know what I was going to do today either because, you know, I'm like screwing around with the freaking internet. So let me say hello to some of the 118 people that are here. Maria, Janice, Tom, Matt, Joe Q, Liz. Happy, yeah, it's Valentine's Day now. This is Valentine's Day Eve. That's kind of awesome. Valerie, Carol C, Sony, N90, Janice, Venus, Tom Mac. Did I say that already? It doesn't matter. Scott S. Daniel, we'll say hello to Daniel. Angry Swede, what's going on, brother? Great Dane Mom. It does when I'm driving. Yeah, I mean, you could set it to let it know what it is. I mean, it's actually giving me alerts. I'm just sitting all the way back down this hallway, and it says it's well, with me talking, it's 83 decibels, but without me talking, I don't know if you can see that, it's 77 decibels. That's kind of loud, just for like, you go out there, it's stupid. It's not right. I don't know what it is. Sean Keith, what's going on, bro? Ta-da-ta-da-ta, Angie in the house. Come on, everyone's got to say hello. What's going on? Tom Helm, Tom Lars. All right. I want to make sure I get everyone. Cheryl, how are you? 88888. No, I ain't in the fountain blows. But we should go back there one of these days. I heard if you get a card, they give you $15 free play and a $15 food credit. So I might get a card just to like get coffee twice. Why not? Yo, Carl, what's up? Alright, I think we covered everyone. Everyone say goodbye to Daniel. See ya. AMF. Alright. How'd I end up losing all those people? Where'd the 20 people go? You're just like, yo. I love the fickle audience. Alright, cool. Alright, so I don't know what we're gonna do, but we are gonna walk around a bit because it's still relatively light out. But I wanted to start in here, chill out a little bit. I sat by the pool for a bit, and it's really pleasant, but the pool is closed. The place is kind of dead, but then again, it is a Monday. It'll probably be like a little more happening at night because these locals have nowhere else to go, really, except for that place. Remember that place we sat at, that food hall? You know, where like French fries are like $99. That's across the street. So that should be packed too. So, while I have your attention, let me say something like Bror Fredrik coming at you with another live video here at the Durango on the west side of Las Vegas. It's about, let's see, about a half hour, 35 minutes from the Strip. Kind of cool property, different. We were at Red Rock last night. This is sort of the opposite of it. You know, it's like the yin and yang of it. That place, Red Rock, is dark and, you know, I mean, I would say kind of manly, which I dig. You know, it's got that like cabin feel, that Frank Lloyd Wright aesthetic. Over here, it's light, bright, airy, windows, you know, completely different vibe, but equally fun. So I'm gonna invite you to do all the stuff like share, subscribe, and hitting that bell button to get notified when I do this again. And if you want to support me, you know how to do it. I got all the things. That one's gonna be changing soon with my new platform web address. Some of you already know it, which is all right. It's under construction, but you can peek around. And let's see what else. Stuffs. So last night was fun. Did you guys enjoy that? I don't know how many people saw it because a lot of people don't watch to the end. And I didn't update what was in that video, like, you know, the title and all that stuff. I probably should have. I was getting ready to go, and suddenly I see a bunch of lion heads moving in because I was going to drive around a little bit, but the connection was kind of blowy over there. All of a sudden I see lion heads, and I'm like, lion heads. So I followed them in, and sure enough, they did an extraordinarily good job of doing a traditional lion dance. It was from the Lohan Shaolin school here in town. They did good. I was impressed. I did that for many, many years myself, so I know what I was looking at, and they did a good job. And I was also impressed by the sheer stamina. I mean, that was like Olympic athlete level stamina. I mean, I can say, if none of you have done that before, which I bet, 99.99999% of you have not, I have. I mean, I've done 10-minute shows, 15-minute shows and stuff like that, then got out of, the lion head and, did butterfly swords or some hand form, whatever. Those guys, without trading off, and they were mostly young cats, they did basically the entire casino. They started out, thank you very much, Venus, on 5 banana rounds, and Jim for the better coffee. We'll see how this goes. I made $4 for an Americano. Let me check it out. I made it so sweet. It's like freaking dripping. I mean, it's not bad today. Put enough sugar in anything, it's not bad. Let's see. Let me get rid of it. The farmer's dog, real dog food. That dog seems to like it. He's just like, what up? Feed me that shit. Skip ad. Goodbye. But they started out by the poker room, and they went around the entire property and blessed everything. They spent an extraordinary amount of time. You saw that in the high limit room, being what it is. I don't know who's luck for the casino or luck for the people, but either way, the casino passed out red envelopes. Each one of them already had a $2 bill in it, which I thought was kind of cool because, believe it or not, way back in the day when I first started, when I was like, 10, 12, 13, whatever, when we used to go lion dancing through the communities in Chinatown, whatever they gifted the lion would go towards the school and the people participating in it, So I would have to assume that they got it. However, the casino had baskets full of red envelopes. So they probably put a few $1,000 of $2 bills because they were passing them out by the handful. $10 here, $10 there, $4 here, $4 here. They gave me like $4 to feed the lion and whatnot. But they went around the entire casino. Like when I stopped after like 45 minutes, they kept going. By the time I got out, they were only like a third of the way through the casino. They did every restaurant, everything, except maybe the bathrooms. So stamina. I was impressed with that. I hope you guys were too. I thought that was kind of awesome. And of course, it got copyright spanked because the music in there was like uber stupid loud. So I got like 4 claims on it. That's why the chat isn't up there today. Yeah, you guys liked it. All right, cool. It was impressive. Yes, I do like Dutch Brothers. That I gotta say. And they do have, in terms of the blended cold drinks, I think they have. They're like superior. They're not like gooey, drippy, diabetic sweet, but they're still good. I think I got one. When did I get one? Like over the summer, I think we stopped in there and got one. You did a lion dance on your ex. What up with that? You got video? Pics or it didn't happen, bro. Remember that saying? Pics or it didn't happen. You wonder how much those lion we used to go like in we used to buy ours in Chinatown, and my school had like I think 6 or 8 of them or whatever, or 7 or 9. You know, even numbers aren't cool. They were like 800 back then. I mean, this is like 20 some odd years ago, so maybe they're like 1,000 now. Believe it or not, they are bamboo. You know, they have a bamboo frame inside that's all twisted and whatever. And on top of that is, for all intents and purposes, paper mache. And like after every single lion dance, before they even taught me anything, it would be, you know, my job and all the other, you know, beginners per se, you know, because, you know, Guilo, I was a beginner for a little longer than everyone else, but I was okay with that. It was my job to repair those things on top of that. So we used to take wet newspaper and Elmer's glue and patch them and paint them, and you know, it was a big thing. I mean, from being inside those, I don't know if you could see it because T.J. Hanley doing such a good job on the forehead. To this day, I have a piece of bamboo stuck in my forehead that I never took out. I mean, I thought I got it all out, but it healed over, and you can kind of see it in there. Because you're like, dun, 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 psh, dun, 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 psh, and you gotta fit back inside and up and down and left and right. Hello. Let me see if I can see it. Can you see that? It's somewhere around here. You see that white mark somewhere? That's a piece of freaking bamboo stuck in my head. I never took it out. I mean, because if I took it out now, I'd have to like carve it out with a freaking X-Acto knife or something. But and. They're like pointing at me. Yeah, so it was a lot of work maintaining those things. That's all I gotta say. And then painting them and sitting there with a hair dryer, you know. It was cool though. It was a good experience. But I used to do it when it was like 10 degrees out, which was completely and utterly different. I actually broke my right ankle during a lion dance because I slipped on some ice. Because not only that, all right, when you're doing it in Chinatown, I tried to describe it last night. When they put the lettuce up, they make it like an obstacle course to see what your skill level is. Because you got to grab the cabbage. In Chinatown, they used to use cabbage. They used lettuce here. Maybe the cabbage. I think it was lettuce. Boom, grab it, and then you bring it down inside, and you rip it apart, and then you open the mouth, and you throw it and whatnot as it sits on your shoulder. It's pretty intense. But they used to put them in like odd places where it would be very difficult. We'd have to climb on people's shoulders, climb on cars, climb on garbage pails, you know, and do shit to, you know, kind of prove it. You know, your skill, because it was also a test of skill, you know, the footwork and all that type of stuff. It wasn't really wushu level. They didn't really do too much wushu last night, which I kind of did. Wushu is the non-combat, the more artistic dance of Kung Fu, not the martial aspect of it. So it was different. And on top of that, they would throw fireworks at you. Like these bandoliers of like 1,000 firecrackers. They'd be like, and they would just launch them at you, like right at your feet. And they'd be blowing up at your feet, coming up into the head and everything. And the poor guy who was always the tail, I was never the tail, but you know, the tail is an important role too. It would blow up under the back and he'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna die and I'm getting blown up. But yeah, and that was all in an effort to throw you off. So once, I remember it just being cold AF. We were down by, no, I can't really, I'm not gonna say where, but down in Chinatown. Can't talk about certain things here. And they were throwing fireworks, and I stepped on some ice, right? I put my foot down on some ice, so I slipped, and when I caught myself with my right foot, it completely bent. Like, it was a compound sprain, but it actually cracked the bone at the bottom. So it pulled it out of the socket, similar to the way my shoulder was. So I picked it up and did one of these. Because it snapped there and I went, whoosh, and I had the head and I reached down and I reset my freaking ankle and I kept going. I reset a lot of stuff. So I reset it on the fly and nobody even knew what was happening until later. And then like by the end of the night I couldn't walk on it and it blew up like this because I did something dicky. I put it in hot water. I don't know why. I was young, you know. I put it in hot water instead of cold water and ice, so that caused it to just explode. Like when I took my shoe off, because I had like a high top shoe. When I took it off, it was already like purple and green and whatever. Never had that set, but I had one of those air casts on for probably a year after that. Oh, let me do the hearts and the things. 5 banana runs from Maria for more coffee activities. But that brought back a ton of memories. Oh my God. Both good and bad. It's hard. You have to be, yeah. I mean, like I said, that was a test of skill. I don't know what the, I mean, I'm tempted to go over to that school, but I think that would be, I don't want, you know, I want it to be like this, not that, you know. I mean, how would they receive me? Because, you know, I do have some credentials. I mean, this is a while ago. I mean, I don't know how receptive it would be, but it seemed like the guy in charge was Guilo, so maybe I could have a conversation with him. But we'll see. What part of New York I'm from? I was born in Brooklyn. Lived a lot in Queens, lived a lot around Long Island, but born in Brooklyn. Yeah, that's for double eagle. Yeah, when the lion eats it's supposed to be cabbage, they use lettuce. I mean, I guess every school is different. Maybe it doesn't even matter. Who knows? You know, it eats it. And, you know, you're feeding it, and you're feeding it the red envelopes. It eats it, and yeah, you expel that, and that's supposed to be good luck. And there's stupid people behind me going, oh, I think you're supposed to eat that for good luck. And I'm just like, no, don't eat that shit off the floor. It ain't gonna give you any better luck, you know? And, you know, the purpose of the fireworks was to, no, do your thing, you're fine. Fireworks are to scare off, you know, bad spirits. I don't know, bad spirit activities. But I lived in that life for a long freaking time. Yeah, I should. I look like I'm landing a. You guys are awesome. Oh, early AMA question. Raw sugar or white? I try to avoid white sugar, if at all possible. I mean, if it's the only, in this place, you can't even get your hands on white sugar, which is kind of trippy. I think I got like 4 raws, and I had to sweeten it up with like 3 stevias or whatever, just to kill the sour. This is like the only sour coffee that I've ever, well, other than Fontaine Blue. All good now was stuffing my foot into my shoe. Why would it be a problem if you went? I don't know, because schools are funny, you know. I mean, I when I did it, it was a completely different era. It was a completely different time. It was a little more. It was a lot more hardcore back in the day. You know, like I said, my Sifu, who I discipled to, he still accepted challenges. And like I was saying last night, in order to touch hands with him, you'd have to go through me or one of the other disciples, because it's just protocol. You know, if you can't beat my students and my disciples, I ain't freaking wasting my time with you. You know. And I've been down the road, you know, with that stuff, and you know, I think 2 passed me, and had to, you know, and you know, seafood touched hands with them or whatever. And believe it or not, I mean, whatever you see on TV, a fight doesn't last long. A true fight is like 5 seconds. You know, I mean, no one's that good where it's like. It's just like who gets off first, can't block it, and gets punched in the freaking face, you know? I mean, I didn't get this nose for nothing. So, yeah, 2 people got past me, you know, and made their way over there and got their asses handed to them by my seafood. So my seafood he was a beast. He was a beast. But back then, like I said, it was different. You know, you had to accept challenges unless you hung a red banner saying, you know, we are we're training and health and whatever. We're not about the combat, but that's like a mitten, you're a wuss kind of, you know. And then someone will call you out on that. Oh, you go to a wuss school and whatever. So like challenges were a normal thing. So I guess I'm a little like gun shy about that. Oh, I said the G word. You know, because I don't know what the reception is. Like, we used to go and meet, like, other schools and whatnot. And, you know, we'd have, like, there'd be, there was a whole community, a whole group of seafoods that would come from China and Hong Kong, and they would just travel around from school to school to school, and how they would survive is, you know, they'd say so-and-so is going to teach us, you know, X, Y, Z. We even had some Filipino martial artists teaching us the sticks and whatever, and they'd come and they'd charge. They'd be like, all right, you know, like $50 a head, and, you know, back in the day, that was a lot of money. So they'd walk out of there with like $2K, you know, to teach us something, and that would be their, you know, that's how they survived. And in some cases, we'd put them up, you know. In some cases, we'd put them up on a cot in the school, you know, that type of stuff. It was a way different lifestyle than it is now. So maybe they'd be like, hey, what up? You know, but what am I going to go in there and say, you know, hey, I'm so-and-so and so-and-so? Or, you know, I know so-and-so, I trained under so-and-so, blah, 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 and do all the bullshit, you know. You know, trained under, you know, Bill Chung, you know, disciple of Yip Man. You know, am I going to tell him that stuff? And was it going to be like, oh, you challenging me? I don't know. I don't know how that works these days, because I've been I still practice on occasion, you know, especially my Qigong and everything, but I don't know what the reception would be. I don't want to be a dick, you know? I don't have to make no phone calls. And then some east-west stuff, you know what I'm saying? What? Yo, I could tell you stories about that. I know I met the Choila, I mean, he was older, but I met the Choila foot guy who had, I met the Choila foot player who put, you know, Bruce Lee in the hospital, you know, for that, because they didn't like him teaching Guilo. You know, Guilo means round eye, in case you didn't know. You know, he didn't, what's he doing? Is he a spy? I think he is a spy. Maybe it's a seafood. Yeah, I met the dude. I mean, this guy was no joke. He was a he was a bad MFer. He was a Choila foot guy. Yeah, they didn't like that. They just thought for cultural reasons, you know, it should just remain. And I mean, under the pool, once I learned shit, I mean, they tossed me into the Wang Fei Hung Invitational Tournament, which the first one that I went to was like frickin' blood sport. That was held in the catacombs underneath Chinatown in New York City. You know, I mean, all of Chinatown in New York City is interconnected. You go into the basement, you could come up like 3 blocks away in a bookstore. You know, you go down this way, you come up 4 blocks, and, you know, there's some bootleg VHSs and shit when I was a kid. How you doing? So it was held like underground and whatever. It wasn't sanctioned. It was until, you know, there wasn't like a point system. It was just until someone couldn't fight no more. It wasn't like to the death, anything, but it was until you ain't getting up, you know. It wasn't, there was no rounds, there was no nothing. That's why I can tell you, fights don't last that long. It'd be like, boom, and some guy would just be like, oh, fucked up. You know, he'd have like a broken rib, a broken nose, a broken eye socket, you know, bleeding from somewhere. And then it'd be over. It'd be like, oh, you won. You know, good on you. And that was it. On to the next one. So I got thrown down there, and I was just like, they were just like, you represent. And, you know, the only thing my seafood told me is like, I put you in. I'm like, dude, I told the spectators, like, no, you going in. I was like, all right. And he's like, all right. I was like, got any advice? He's like, no pretty shit. Just go in there and fuck him up. I remember that to this day. It's like, none of that pretty shit you like to do. Just go in there and fuck him up. I was like, and the first thing I did to the very first dude, he put out his hands. So he gave me the back of his palm. And I'm just like, you know, I did the same. And I just went like this. Bang. And I punched him with this knuckle right in the back of his hand. And it was done. And everyone was like, they're like, should we disqualify this white MFer over here for doing that shit? You know, because I was just like, you know, I'm going to hit the first thing that's in front of me. And I just went bang as fast as I could. And he was just like, his hand just went, you know, went into spasms. He was done. Am I being spied on? Okay. And that was that. So, yeah, I won that one. And then I had to go like 3 more times. But then over the years, then I won the second one. First white dude. And then I won the second one. And then, let's see, what else happened? Is this music getting louder and louder, or is it in my imagination? And then finally they started doing it in auditoriums. Like the third one I went to was up in like an elementary or whatever school in Chinatown and whatnot. And they, being that now it was like it was more public, so that's when they started. We're like, all right, we got to make them put the bare minimum chest protectors on. So we were all just like, what? What are you talking about? Chest protectors? We're putting that shit on. And I didn't compete the third year because I didn't want to do that. And I wanted to go out on top. You know, you can't win 3 in a row. Would have been like, oh my God, you know, a huge target on my back. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So, and then they started putting chest protectors on and whatnot because people would get a lot of their ribs broken more than anything else by being kicked or like, you know, that type of stuff, shatter your ribs. And that kind of protected you. Then later on, what was that? I just heard something. My watch was saying something. I think we're listening to Sade. I'm freaking mellowing out. I see this guy peeking over every once in a while. I don't know if he's spying on me. He's got like a parabolic thing. Like you can't hear what I'm saying anyway. Oh yeah, it is Sade. It's such good Valentine's Day music. Anyway, back to fighting. So I didn't want to participate in that. I didn't want to put on any gear. I thought that was freaking lame. And then by the 4th year, or the 5th year, it got to be such a big event. They took it away from being just a Wang Fei Hung, and then it became like more of a truer blood sport, but less blood in terms of, like, when it was Wang Fei Hung, it was just all the various kinds of gung fu that were around Chinatown and whatnot. But by the time it went to the Jacob Javits Center, it was all martial arts. It was karate, it was, you know, sanda, you know, everything but wrestling, you know, because wrestling around was like always really frowned upon. But But now that's like such a huge part of like MMA, being able to roll on the ground, which from a practical standpoint, it makes sense, but not really, because in real life, you're not going to roll around with someone who's relatively trained, because they're going to pull something out and just like puncture your kidneys, you know, while you're freaking trying to get them in some type of creepy arm lock, you know, you just, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I don't condone any of it. Behave, be good people, be good citizens. And so I go into Jacob Javits Center, and it's like everyone. It's like, you know, Filipino, Korean, whatever. So I go in there, and now I got my toe dive, the people who are under me, you know? And I go in, I said the same thing to this one cat. He's like, you got any advice to me? I'm just like, dude, fuck all the pretty shit and just go kick this guy's ass. I said the same exact thing, you know, and he did. So good on you. I think I told this story. I was standing in the hallway, and at this one in Jacob Javits, it got to the place where it was judging and points. You know, it wasn't about who got knocked out or knocked down. No, it was knocked out or could not continue were the only ways that a fight ended back in the day. And these things weren't like every year. They were like 2 years apart and whatnot. So it was like one or the other. Either you couldn't continue or you were out cold, one or the other. It wasn't points. So then it got to points by the time it was at Jacob Javits and the headgear. I was like, oh man, and then it became points. And so I was like, all right, I'll be a judge for this thing. You know, and you're supposed to count the hits and all this other crap, and I'm just like, you know, but it was cool. Everyone was bowing to me and, you know, treating me with great respect, you know. That was all right. However, I'm walking around Jacob Javits Center with this thing, with this badge on that said, you know, judge or whatnot. And all these dudes were coming up to me in like these short gym shorts, you know, like the creepy short ones, you know, like with the white trim and whatnot. Creepy. And they were like, how you doing? I'm like, all right, can we buy you a coffee? I'm like, no, I'm good. And they were like, all wanted to like befriend me and stuff. Like, these dudes are coming out of the woodwork. I'd be like, nah, I'm cool, man. F off. And then more dudes would come with the creepy shorts on, and more dudes would come with the creepy shorts on. And I'm just like, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, dude wants to take a shot with me. He ain't getting nowhere, but, you know, whatever. I'm not going to, like, you know, yell at him or whatever. But then I'm walking down the hallway in the Jacob Javits Center, and it says that it was like the prelims for the Gay Olympics. So they thought I was a judge. I just thought that was funny. But then I went back and, you know, whatever. I mean, what we used to do, once it became points and gear, what our school and the more serious schools' MO would be just go and get disqualified, because there's no way you could win on, you know, point things. It's a different mentality, you know, like, okay, I'm not taking anything away from, you know, modern MMA, where, all right, you're not allowed to bite, you're not allowed to eye gouge, you're not allowed to headbutt, you're not allowed to nerve strike, you're not allowed to kick no one in the balls, you're not allowed to punch no one in the brainstem. You know, so they're taking a lot of the things out of it that would be viable. Are they still good athletes? Are they still good, you know, martial artists? Can they still kick some ass? Absolutely. But put them in a ring with someone who's going to bite them, you know, and see what happens. You know, okay, you're trying to get me. Oh, you got me in a rear naked choke. I'm going to take a bite out of you, you know. My man. I'm going to take a bite out of you. I'm literally going to bite you down to the bone and spit it back. I mean, if you try to put me in a rear naked choke, what else am I going to do? Tap? You know? So I just go in there and be like, just go get disqualified. That's more like that there's more pride in that, you know. Just go in there and get freaking disqualified. So my guys would just go in there and just like do some real stuff, you know. And they'd be like, "Oh, you're disqualified." And we'd be like, "Damn right." And no one would, like, the next year, everyone was like, "We ain't fighting them." And that's when we stopped. We showed up for the, you know, we were invited to, we showed up for the second or third one, big one, and everyone's like, we're not fighting them, you know, like, we ain't fighting those people, because they, you know, they're not here for the sport of it. They're not good sportsmen. Yeah, we want to, you know, try to hurt you. So, yeah, that's the stories. Anyway. Should I continue? Yeah, early UFC was crazy. Remember when that one dude kicked that big, like 400-pound dude straight in the face and his teeth went everywhere? That was crazy. Man, what are you guys doing back then? Yeah, I mean, you know, we're run by freaking, you know, we're run by, like, I don't know. I think low T. Yeah, Richard Simmons, Schwartz, bingo. I mean, you know, low T rules the day now. You know, the high T was a thing. Ta-da-ta-da-ta. You still, great day, Mom, you still have that cough? It took me, it was like 15 days, 15 or 16 days before I got over that cough. And it's still around a little bit. I just want to read some of your comments. Yeah, the 1-inch. See how quick that was. But I don't claim to be no. I could defend myself, but you know, again, that was back in the day. I ain't old. You know what someone sent me? We will go outside, but you know what someone sent me? Someone sent me something saying. They were like, they called me a boomer. And first of all, you're like more than a decade off the person who sent that. But I digress. You know what I replied? They were like, boomer this, boomer. They went on a whole diatribe about boomer stuff. And like I said, it doesn't apply. I missed that by a while. However, they were going on to say, oh, you know, boomers are ruining the economy because boomers own 80%. I mean, he was making a case why his or her own life just totally sucks. They were like, boomers own 80% of the stock market. Boomers can demolish. When the boomers all decide to sell, it's going to bring the stock market to its knees. And, you know, my generation's screwed, so F you people. And, you know, on and on and on. You know, you guys own all the houses and you won't let them go. And once you decide to, you're going to flood the market and like all this stuff. But it's like, you're making very, very good, awesome points, you know? So the only thing I replied with, because he started out with like, okay, boomer or she, you know what I said? All I replied was, okay, renter. That was it. Argument done. And then they sent something back, but by then I already freaking blacklisted them. But I thought that was fun. Boomer. I ain't got a problem with boomers, but whatever. So if anyone ever calls you a boomer, just call them a renter in return. Just say, they say, boom, okay, boomer, just say, okay, renter. Because you're going to be renting until the day you die, you know? Actually, I'm enjoying this coffee. Boomers. What do you think of Tai Chi? Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, when the boomers get to the place, I'm gonna answer that in a second. When the boomers get to the place where they do liquidate, yes, this country's gonna be effed big time. Because it's gonna turn the market, it's gonna turn the stock market on its ass when they sell out all their holdings. It's just gonna flood the market. It's gonna crash the market. Because yes, boomers do own approximately, the guy was accurate. The person was accurate. You know, older people do own 80% of the stock of the liquidity in the market. So once that's all sold, because, you know, they want cold, hard dollars, or, you know, they all decide, hey, on Friday, let's crash the economy, F these people and what they're doing, you know, and the note goes out and all the retirement homes and everything, and they all do it at the same time, the economy's gonna tank, like, in a way that would make, you know, what happened during the Great Depression a cakewalk, because, I mean, you're gonna flood the market with stock and devalue it down to nothing, you know? Same thing with houses. They're gonna just flood, like everyone puts their house on sale at the same time. I mean, are they gonna hurt themselves by doing that? Just being the fact that it's on sale. Yes, it'll correct the market and you can start buying, like, you know, 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses for $85,000 yet again, but there'll be it's gonna wreak havoc. It's gonna wreak havoc. So yes, yeah, nothing wrong with being boomers. Yeah, you got a cousin in Sweden. His name is Fredrik too. We're probably related. My family in Sweden was we was all over the place. All right, I'm gonna let that show. All right, Tai Chi. I mean, I tried it. I practiced it, but awesome for exercise, awesome for circulation, awesome for fighting. But it takes, I knew some Tai Chi practitioners that would just F you up. But it takes a long time, you know, like 10 years, 15 years before they can apply that in such a way. So from a health standpoint, it's nice because it keeps your body flowing and you can meditate and visualize what you're doing and, you know, the whole 9 yards. Awesome health-wise, awesome for balance, awesome to stave off shit as you get older, you know, like balance issues and all that. As far as a fighting style, some of the best ever, combat proven ever, were Tai Chi practitioners, but it wasn't until they were a decade or two in, because it takes a long time to go from the fluidness to learn how to apply that in a more functional manner. The end result of what I trained in, you know, Hung Kyun, was the iron wire, which had elements of Tai Chi in it. You know, it was like the final thing. Okay, now we turned you into a friggin', you know, now we turned you into a lunk. You know, now we turned, you went through your basic training and we taught you how to, like, you know, the mentality behind Hung Kyun is whatever comes near me, I'm just gonna try to break it. You know, I mean, that's how your mentality is. But then after that, it all gets toned back down again. And then you learn, like, the iron wire form. You know, all this type of stuff. To learn how to bring the softness back into it, a la Tai Chi. And that's when you become a little, kind of more rounded. But straight out of the gate, not so much. Yeah, true. I mean, but like I said, some of the best I've ever known, and people that I wouldn't want to F with back when I was in my prime, were Tai Chi players. But they were all, like, they peaked out after like 10 years. You know, I mean, it was a long curve to get there. And then they finally got there and they were, where is this place? We're at Durango. I'm gonna walk around in a bit. We're at Durango. I can't really go inside because the music is at like freaking 85 decibels. But we'll walk around a little bit. I'll show you around the outside. It's on the west side of town. But I should go say hello to that. I don't know. It just feels weird. I feel like I'd be going there. What am I gonna say? You know, hey, I thought you guys are cool. I just don't. Going back to what we were originally talking about, I don't know how to approach it. I've never done that before. I mean, I've walked into people's schools and been like, anyone want a chisao? Anyone want a roll? But no more. I'm just such a mellow guy now. I'm mellow AF. Blame the US government for that. Most boomers and Gen Xers. Exactly. But at some point, they're gonna have to relinquish it. Nobody's thinking about that yet. You know, when all the boomers relinquish their stocks and their 401ks and all the rest of that, their IRAs, and cash out, either because they're dead or because they're like, F it, or the secret frickin', password came out. It's, what is the government gonna do to protect against that? It's gonna be nasty. Yeah, you would have had to be. I mean, I remember people, like when I was a youngin', I remember people coming back. Like, I knew people, like a couple of my cousins got killed in, I remember some stuff. Omea, Sweden. Ah, I know where you are. The coffee has only improved, Kevin, because I packed it with so much sugar and my head's spinning. You want orange chicken? Yeah, I want chicken too. You know what I ate? I ate like a dozen eggs worth of egg salad today. And that's it. I don't know what. Alright. I feel like the chat's not moving. I don't know why. The music is getting louder and louder and louder. I'm so over music. But was that interesting conversation? Sometimes, I mean, I'm in a very, how would I say? Like last night after that thing, I was in an odd place. I was in a very reflective place and a very, little bit melancholy place, but kind of hyped place at the same time. It was interesting. It was an interesting experience because it came out of nowhere, and I spent so much of my life, involved, immersed in that world, like a long time. I don't know if, probably some new people there, but I saw Master Killer, on a rerun. The seven, the chamber, the third chamber, all the chambers and whatnot. And I was just like, and I was like 8 or 9. I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I was like, hey, Moms, I'm gonna do that. And she's just like, doing shit, whatever. Like, I listened. And I took a bus, like 5 buses, and I went to Chinatown. And because in that movie, he went outside. And he went to the Shaolin Temple, and he was like, I ain't leaving until you teach me. That's how they took him in. That's what I did. At frickin' 9 years old, I basically ran away from home. I took several buses to Chinatown, and I went to a school, and I was just like, I ain't leaving. And they were like, go away. I'm like, I ain't leaving. They're like, go away. I said, I ain't leaving. They're like, go away. And they just wanted nothing to do. I was a little white kid in the freaking middle of Chinatown. And they're like, go away. I said, I ain't leaving. I did the same thing. I was like, I'm not leaving until you train me. And they were like, all right, have it your way. Rain's coming. And I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there, and I'm half shitting my pants, too, because I'm a little kid. And I'm just like, this is kind of interesting. And then guy comes out. And he's like, stand up. I was sitting down. He said, stand up. And he puts me in a horse stance, And then he sits, just like it was. That's why it was like so cool. I mean, I gotta say, it's one of the coolest experiences as a little boy. He literally put the freaking teacups on my thighs and whatnot. He made me get down really low. He was like, and they put teacups on my thighs with some boiling hot freaking water and shit. You know, and I was just like, all right, this is cool, I'm learning something. You know what I learned after that? Right after that, I sat there and I stayed there until I was like fucking crying. You know what I learned after that? He was like, come back tomorrow, I'll teach you something. I'm like, all right, cool, what? He's like, take this mop and clean the bathrooms. And then I did that for a long time. I cleaned the freaking bathrooms, just like in the movies. My life was a freaking movie. My life still is a movie. That's how it started. When I was a little boy. What did I put in my egg salad? I put celery salt. I did not put. I don't like the mixture of textures. I don't like going from the soft to the crunch. That's why I don't like nuts in my ice cream, because it's creamy smooth and I don't want to have to chew on something. I don't like that surprise crunch thing. I put, okay, cut the eggs, like you know the egg slicer, turn the egg around, cut it twice, dump it in, blah blah blah, a dozen eggs. I use olive oil based mayonnaise because I love that stuff and it's better for you. Some Dijon mustard. I put a ton of dill, celery salt, onion powder, and some black pepper. It's all black and white pepper mixed together. And it's pretty good. And a tiny bit, ever so tiny bit of apple cider vinegar, like drops, like eyedropper level. And it's good. And it's good. Yeah, jiu-jitsu trains, always someone choking you. People, see, my instinct would be like, I would bite. I mean, I don't care what anyone would say about that. Someone try to choke me, I'm gonna take a massive piece out of their forearm. I'm just gonna latch on and I'm gonna friggin' bite the biggest piece of meat I can out of their forearm as they're trying to choke me out. I could not stop myself from doing that. Because I was in situations where I knew the other person. They didn't wanna like beat me. They didn't want to win a tournament. They wanted to freaking kill me. You know, it wasn't like, oh, oh, it's such a pleasure to it wasn't like that. Oh, I always wanted to meet you and, test skills. No, I always wanted to see if I could kill you. I mean, I'm not like, that's why you can't put me in an escape room. If you lock me in a room and tell me it's like a game and I gotta escape, I'm gonna kick a freaking hole in the wall. That's just my nature. It's just me, I don't know. But yeah, getting choked and punched in the ears and whatnot. I mean, I don't take anything away from those guys. I don't take anything away from them because at least they're doing something, and a lot of them are awesome. And Dan Henderson, would you like to get punched in the head by Dan Henderson? Not me. They're all badasses. It just is what it is. But in my opinion, unless my life or someone around me that I care about, or even a stranger, is in jeopardy, I ain't fighting no one. Why? It's just like, whatever, but if I do, it's for keeps, that's been my mentality forever. Not for sport. For sport, I don't, whatever. But good on them, That's what they want to do, that's what they do. Double eagle. I was just like, I couldn't fathom it. Like it didn't. You saw that, right? It didn't like register right away because I was like worrying about the connection and we're gonna drive to Walmart, and then I saw they were authentic lion heads. I've seen the jive ones that they do sometimes with the wushu and whatnot. I was just like. It's like the same ones we used to go down to the docks and pick up off the boats and whatnot, And I was just like, oh, it just, like this whole flood of stuff comes through. It's not something I think about every day, but yeah, that was intense. What, this hostess is back there? What are they yapping? I didn't see them. Do you remember that one that we met the first time I was here when they had like decent music back there? She was cool. She wanted to like hang out, whatever. But I don't see them anymore. They got a pool table, but the music is freaking stupid loud. What up? You want to go booking around a little bit? I can't guarantee the connection, and if it blows, we'll come back in. But wow, that's a long story time. That was unanticipated. Did you guys like? Is that a put off, or are you guys all right with talking about stuff like that? I don't know. It's just been, like I said, it was a thing. It was a thing. Yeah, Kill Bill was good. Maria Jose, you dug it? Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I would go full blown Mike Tyson. Like, I don't blame Mike Tyson for biting Holyfield's ear off. How could I? I mean, I remember once we were in. I remember once I was in a pair of waders, and I was working my way around a lake. And I was coming around these spots. It was a bass fishing lake. There was this big bass in this lake, and the water was like gross. I mean, it was like gross, green, brown, oil stains floating on the top. But there's always big bass in there. You'd be like, oh, just, throw a jig behind that engine block that's poking out over there. There's always a bass back there. It's like a weird place, It's in New York. And I'm walking, and I come across this dude, right? And he's like, whatever. And I threw a couple. I think I was working a spinnerbait or a worm or something. Whatever. And he's just like, yo, this is my spot. I'm just like, I'm moving on, whatever, And he like kept pushing the issue. And I could tell this dude wanted to throw down over a fishing spot. And this lake was not somewhere where you could just chill, You had to keep on the move and whatnot. What is going on back there? Is this a Boss Babe party? Boss Babes in the house. Alright, let's check out the Boss Babes. I see you, ladies. The two married ones in the back, I could tell. What the hell were we talking about? Oh, talking about fishing. So, you gotta keep on the move. Well, it's like a freaking, it was in a really bad neighborhood too. But this guy was just being a dick, right? So all I said to him was like, I knew he wanted he wanted to go. And I was just like, there's no point to it, I mean, there's no house being broke into, there's no cars, there's nothing. It just wasn't worth it. And I'm just like, dude, are you willing to kill me over this fishing spot? Are you really willing to end my life over this fishing spot? And he was looking at me like it didn't register. I'm like, you better be. You better be. And he was like, oh, what up, man? The Beastie Boys. That should have been in slow motion, right? Like Reservoir Dogs. Like they should have pretended they were walking in slow motion. That would have been cool. A Galentine party. What's a Galentine? Oh, where all the single women get together, leave their cats at home. This weekend you're gonna be in Vegas. I will be around. I hope they get the connection issues back down. I gotta go out. I gotta know I'll get it inside like Caesars, inside Bellagio. And Bellagio was a little iffy. But I gotta do some recon because you know, it sucks not being able to stream over there. Megadeth, really? Alright, so you guys are digging this convo. Alright, cool. You're gonna be in New York? Alright, good. Well, make sure you let me know. I mean, I'll stop by. I forgot it's Valentine's Day. I'm gonna buy myself a box of chocolates. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mike Tyson, I mean, I've talked to him a couple times, and, you know, he's the same way. You know, like, the old timers, I mean, I'll put myself in that category, fuck it. You know, the people who've been around from the early days of, like, pugilism and whatnot, it wasn't, like, we never thought about it in terms of sport. You know, like now it's like, oh, look how great a sport he is. You know, he went and shook hands with the guy he beat. That's a divide by zero era, you know, because back then, you know, when you went into any type of situation that required like any type of self-defense, it was because the other dude was legitimately trying to whack you. You know, he was trying to off you. It wasn't, you know, like even back in the day, like street fights and whatnot. I mean, granted now, you know, they pull out a pew-pew and whatnot, which was frowned upon back in the day, but, you know, MFers want to stomp your head, you know, into a freaking, you know, into a pulpy mess. I mean, it had to be graphic, but, you know, it was kind of like a you or him type of thing. There was no element of sport to it, being sporting, you know. It was just like, I don't want to, you know, it's like me or you, you know, type of situation. And, you know, Tyson for sure grew up with that mentality, you know. So, yeah, I mean, you're not, if you go in there, like, I could look at most, not all MMA fights. I could just look at them walking into the ring, and I'll tell you who's going to win. I could tell you right away. It's the one who truly wants to hurt the other dude, you know, who has that, you know, you could just tell, you know, I mean, not the boisterous kind of, you know, yeah, you know, like the empty barrels who make the most noise type of dudes, you know, like, it's not generally them, but you can tell who's there to challenge themselves and, you know, see how far they've come in their craft and, you know, may the better man win. You're getting your ass kicked. The better man's the other dude, if that's what you're thinking. The guy's going in there going, I am going to, that's who's going to win. That's who's going to win, you know, unless the other dude gets lucky, but it's, you know, it's a different type of nature. And Mike Tyson, he was a different, he had a nature about him, you know, like he had a fury inside him, he had rage, you know, and most people, how would I say, born into difficult circumstances or difficult realities have built-in rage. And those are the type of people you don't want to mess with, you know? You just don't, because it's a whole different level, you know? They could be like totally untrained if they unleash the beast, you know, the rage that's within them and decide to vent it. That's a problem. I don't care who you are. Combine that with training, that's bad news. Alright, you ready to walk around? Yeah, Butterbean was a beast. He was just big. No, I did not go to Walmart. I did go to the dollar store yesterday on the way home. I did go to the dollar. Do you know what? We will go. It is what? The 13th. Okay. As of the 12th of February, so far this month, I've spent $410 on groceries. some sundries, like I'll include like dishwashing soap. I bought a couple sponges, some Ziploc bags, Arm & Hammer with OxyClean, some Suavitel, you know, I like my clothes smelling good and whatnot. Like that I include also in there. $410 by the 12th of February. That is outrageous. And they say, yeah, obviously, you know, Las Vegas has the second highest food prices in the entire nation, only beat by Hawaii, and they got to get everything brought in on boats and planes. So I understand that. But frickin' Vegas, the amount of trucks that come in and out of here all the time, and why is that? $410 by the 12th. So I'm anticipating at least 700 just in food and sundries this month. And 3 short years ago, when Orange Man Bad was in charge, I think it was like $250, and I ate better. I ate more meat. I ate more of the things that I wanted to. You know, I ate more mozzarella balls. You know, I don't even buy that shit. You know, I'm buying like the basics. I mean, I'm not doing like rice and beans or whatnot. Don't get me wrong, but I cut out the things that like excite me to eat. You know, I can't wait to go home. I'd go buy some ceviche. I'd go down to like Mariana's and I'd treat myself to some ceviche. You know, because it was like $5. Now it's like 30. You know. What the heck is going on? How does this, and we're gonna give, what are we giving now? $95 billion to the crane? For the, off our asses? I mean, it's bad, it's bad. Yeah, I mean, California's 2 hours away, you know? California's 2 hours away. We're not in the middle of nowhere, you know? It's a 4-hour drive. It's not like we're a food island and whatnot. I mean, we got planes, we got a giant airport. We're not in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you know? It's just gougery. It's just gougery here. Meat prices, holy shit. You can't buy, you know, shoe leather, freaking shoe leather, that you can't even pot roast because nothing will make it soft. It's like $8.99 here in Vegas. Eggs are $7 a dozen. Explain that to me. And we got money to send to some foreign country, to a war they cannot win, to some people. It's just a big freaking money laundering scam. You don't think they're taking that $95 billion and sending back 70 here? I don't know what you're smoking. Well, not you, but you. You ready? Let's go. And we're just gonna be like, whatever. But it passed today. Both sides passed it. Yeah, give more money to the most corrupt country on the planet. You ever see? Google some stuff about them. Google Crane nightclubs. They're all hanging out in nightclubs, living it up on our money. It's a big freaking money laundering scheme. But we can't talk about that here. I can prove it to you. We could talk about it on my new platform. There's a sign-up link in the description, both for the Brawl Nation get-together in April 22nd to the 25th, and for my new streaming platform, my new Freedom of Speech streaming platform. Go sign up to get notified when I go live. I'm gonna turn this camera around. All right, let's go walk around. Let's go do stuff. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no kidding, Chad. Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I am feeling pretty good. I gotta put this candle back. I'm gonna leave it on. Isn't that cool? Can't fit in my pocket though. Rah. Wow, I told you a lot of stuff about me today. Not TMI, but I'd rather tell you TMI, but I give you a lot of history about the old Bror Fredrik activities. Freaking yikes. Just looking at that giant bottle of water in my pocket. I don't know how this is going to work out if we go outside. I don't have a clue. But I do want to go outside. If I get far enough away from the building, I think we'll do all right. But listen how loud it is. Let me check the decibels. Hold on. All right, let's flop. Flop. All right, let's check the decibel activities. 79 decibels. And we're not even inside the casino yet. All right, we are going to glitch out for a second. If it gets too bad, I will walk back in. And we'll deal with it. Go. Let's see if I missed any super chat. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I think tomorrow I'm gonna do... All right, people. I'm definitely going to call T-Mobile tomorrow because, I mean, there is no internet connection outside. I have no idea why. It's kind of beat. Beatness has been achieved. All up in your grills. Oh, that's better. Oh, that's good light. So, I think you guys are bored anyway, so I think I'm gonna jet. It's supremely frustrating. So let me think. I was checking to see if I missed any super chat activities. I did not. So thank you very much, Venus, and thank you very much, Maria. Cool. Let me turn on all comments. Yeah, it's supremely frustrating. Yeah, I'm gonna call in and find out. I'm gonna play stupid first. Like I don't know what they actually did, but I know what they did. They all allocated it to the Super Bowl. Tried turning off my devices and rebooting. And then I'm just gonna lose it. I'm never coming back if I reboot my phone. I mean, that's not gonna work. No, it's outside. It's been all week. The new platform, there is going to be a charge for it. It's going to be a monthly, quarterly, or annual subscription-based platform. It has to be because it's going to cost me thousands. I mean, literally, it's going to cost me a couple $1,000 a month. You know, it's coming out of my own pocket in the beginning. I mean, hopefully. No, trust me. Not on live. Oh, of course I always reboot my devices, and like this phone, it's the phone that's doing this right now. There's no programs on it except for my streaming program, and it's so fine-tuned. It's unbelievable. I don't even know the phone number on it. Its only world is to live here, but I can tell there's just no persistent connection. Damn, backwards. Yeah. So there is going to be a charge because it's costing me. I mean, if I could do it for free, I mean, that'd be great. But I got hosting fees. I have, just to do the streaming. Just one aspect of the streaming service is $800 to stream the content. And that's why, you know, when YouTube takes, and find a more comfortable place to sit. Hold on. That was such an odd position to sit. When YouTube takes 40% of all the money, in one way I can't really blame them, because I'm using their back end. I'm using their streaming services. I'm using their Akamai. I'm using their AWS. I'm using their cloud services. I'm using their CDNs. I'm using all that stuff, you know, so that costs money. I have unlimited bandwidth, unlimited storage, unlimited concurrent users, exposure to, you know, an audience that I would, in other circumstances, not have. So they do deserve their 40%. I wouldn't have a problem with that, other than I'm not allowed to say anything. If they disagree with anything that I say, I get penalized for it, and I lose. You know, it's just, you know, it's just not good. So I'm starting my own, and that's such a weird ass angle. Let me find a book. They actually have books here. Check this out. What is this? It's an actual book. Oh my goodness. Looks a little freaky-deaky. Alright, let me raise it up there. So yeah, so I'm building my own YouTube. I invented YouTube back in like 1998. That's a whole nother story. I did. I'm gonna lie. So I'm building my own back end. I have a front end service provider, back end service providers, servers, hosts, the whole bit. So yeah, you know, I'm a nice guy, but I can't afford to just give away thousands of bucks a month. So yes, it is going to be a monthly subscription, but all the bells and whistles, live streams. I mean, ultimately it comes down to, like even on it gets cheaper, like, okay, a monthly, quarterly, annually, even on a monthly basis, less than $1 to watch a live stream, less than a freaking dollar. And I don't think that's a lot to ask. If people have a hard time with that's okay. I mean, that's fine, but at the bare minimum, you know? So, but there's other things. I mean, there's a community there, there's calendars there, there's behind the scenes. I'm gonna put other content up there. I'm gonna actually stream more from my house, the studio, like more behind. I can do all the stuff I cannot do on YT. I don't have to worry about music. I don't have to worry about copyright. I mean, I can't say, oh, tonight we're all gonna listen to Cher, and, you know, I can't do that because that's, you know, that's obvious copyright. But a situation like this, I'm not bound to anything because I don't have, you know, YT looking over my shoulder, you know, looking for any freaking reason to, you know, do me. So yeah, I can say what I want and just, you know, freedom, and so can you. So we're gonna have fun, same quality. I'm building it. It'll be on par with everything YT has to offer, and then some. Plus the community. You guys can upload your own videos, and it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to doing it. But I did not invent the selfie stick. I wish I did, but I did invent YouTube. I did. Back in 1999, I had a service that was based on, in 1999, people would send me videos through FTP. I had a automated flash-based encoder that would encode them and put them up onto a website. Cat videos, all sorts of shit. It was here in Vegas. And it was kind of a big deal for a while. Even the hotels were putting shit up there. You know, I had it almost automated down to and everyone was like, I don't see the point. Who's ever gonna watch video on their computer? And I'm like, this whole town was like, nah, no one's ever gonna watch videos on their computers. I'm like, are you okay? You know, that was back when the town was all run, you know, like that. was like, are you people okay? And I'm like, no, this is the future. This is the future. You got to get on board and whatever. And then I started doing streaming when I did my, I had a radio show in town on K-Dawn. I used to stream it on the internet. And that used to be, what did that used to cost? It was close to like, it was a few thousand a month with a maximum of like 100 people. You used to have to pay per concurrent user through freaking Real Player and all this other shit. And then it just became financially, even hosting your own website in 1999 was like financially prohibited. But this town, I couldn't find a backer, no one to support, no angel funding, no VC wanted to touch it. They all thought no one would ever watch a video on a computer. And then one day I was watching and like Girls Gone Wild came out and, you know, Prawn created the internet. If it wasn't for Prawn, we wouldn't be talking right now. That's a fact. If it wasn't for people wanting to see naked people doing stuff, the internet would not exist. The internet was originally fueled by Prawn, and one of the originals was Girls Gone Wild. But I'm digressing. But then like a few months later, like right at that same time, YT was invented and they got capital funding by a venture capital group, and then Google bought them for 800 million. But I had the idea at the same time. I just couldn't get the funding. I thought in this town it'd be easy to get funding. They were just like, no one's ever gonna watch that. I'm like, I was putting up like, no, they just weren't interested. Anyway, I'm gonna get going because obviously I think you guys are bored out of your gourds. So I'm gonna hold my breath. This platform will be like, listen. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, you know, naked chicks get views. It just is what it is, you know? I mean, I had this idea once too. I was gonna do a virtual strip club. I was gonna do it when last time, not this time in Vegas, the last time, I was just like, that'd be cool. You know, have a website guys go to, and they could like pick which dancer they want. I had the whole thing. I was so far ahead of my time, and people were just like, nah, no one's gonna do that. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm digressing. I should have done it. But, you know, I mean, what are you gonna do, fund it yourself? All right, people. It's been fun. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, because I certainly did. Don't know what we're doing tomorrow. We might do, like I said, I'm going to try to find somewhere where the connection's better. Hopefully the Strip, as they tear everything down, will improve a little bit. But that remains to be seen. Yeah, send me a note if you have. Ooh, we sent a note. So, all right, I love you guys. I'm going to invite you guys one last time. Like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button to get notified when I do this again, which is at least 5 times a week. And if you want to support the channel, do all the stuffs. Links are in the description. And on that note, Bror Fredrik out.